And so the board game journey continues as we finish off the month of January in the year 2026. This is being recorded on January 31st, but of course you're probably not going to be seeing this until about February 2nd or 3rd. Let's go ahead and hop in today, shall we? Hello and welcome back to How Bored. I am your host Christian, and as mentioned in the intro, we are going to be continuing my board game journey through the year of 2026. So, if you have seen my video on my goals for 2026, you'll know that there was several different challenges I was working on, and this is just going to be a video to kind of update on the progress through those challenges, give some highlights for things that I played through the month, maybe some additions to my collection, things like that. So we'll start off by going through the challenges because that is the biggest part of this video. So first off is the 1,000 annual plays challenge. So far I am at 101 plays for the month of January. It's actually quite impressive. I had a bit of a slump there. I was lagging behind. I was probably about 65 to 70 for like a week, and it was just kind of stagnant, and then I rocketed through a bunch of plays and had a really good time. I didn't play as many small games as I normally do. When it came to last year in gaming, I played a ton of small games, and that was a good majority of what got me close to my 1,000 plays, but I prioritized a lot more this month on busting out some of my more medium and heavyweight games to really fully enjoy the hobby and dive deeper into the games that bring me the most joy, and it was a very fulfilling experience. I would say it was most likely it probably ended up being about a 50-50 in the end, about 50 plays of the heavier medium games and 50 smaller, because I did still play a decent amount of small games, but not as many as I normally would. So very happy with getting 101 plays. That puts me well over the progress that I need to get every month to stay on track for my 1,000 plays. I need to get roughly 83 plays every month to be on track for my 1,000 plays, so I'm 18 over that, and that feels pretty dang good, I would say. So good progress there for the month of January. The second challenge is my 10 by 10 plays. Currently, I only have 6 of the 10 games that are on this list. One of them is supposed to be showing up here pretty soon, and that's Layers. I should be getting that in the next couple of weeks based on their most recent updates. So looking forward to having that in my hands and being able to start playing that. But out of my 10 by 10 challenge, I have gotten 14 plays. So I'm 14% of the way through this challenge, which again is still ahead of schedule for that, so it gives me a little leeway in case I have a slower month, especially February being a shorter month than all the rest. Gives me a little bit of wiggle room to make up there, and I did, for fun, add an 11th game, and that is Expeditions, which is the one that I ordered at the start of the year, and so far I already have 4 plays of that. So I haven't decided if I'm actually going to have that count towards anything towards the challenge. For now, it's just marked as for fun. If I get to a point where things are getting rough, maybe I'll consider it as like replacement plays for other games. Like for example, with Endeavor Deep Sea, if I don't end up hitting all 10 plays, maybe I get to 6 and I have the 4 plays of Expeditions. Maybe I can do a little substituting there. I don't know how I'm going to work that yet. I just added in the Expeditions for fun because it is a brand new game, and I'm curious to see how much I play it throughout the year. So that'll be fun to keep track of. In the journey of doing this, though, I have played Knitting Circle 3 times, I've played Endeavor Deep Sea once, Final Girl 3 times, Night Cage twice, Wormspan 3 times, Septima twice, and of course Expeditions 4 times. So out of all of these, the one that surprised me the most was actually Septima. I'm pretty sure I got both of those plays in the same weekend. And I've really been itching to play it again, but because it is such a big game, there's a lot to set up, and there's a lot of play time. The time on the box, as advertised, is not at all accurate. It says 25 minutes per player, which for solo is technically 2 players, but it takes way longer than 50 minutes to play that game, unless you're like super hyper efficient maybe, but I have really come to appreciate that game a lot more in just those 2 plays. And the second one even included one of the mini expansions, being the shape-shifting, which was really cool. I thoroughly enjoyed that, but the problem when I initially played Septima, when I first got it, I believe 2 years ago, maybe longer than that even, is I was looking at too much as a thematic game, and I never really felt like there was a whole lot I could do in it because of the way that I approached the game. So I was like, well, you get 20 turns to do stuff, but it doesn't really feel like any of these turns really do a whole lot. when I changed my perspective about it and I looked at it as an efficiency puzzle, I started playing it a lot better, and I started realizing there are a lot of things you can get done in just those 20 turns. So once I started playing it a lot smarter and I had the better outlook on the game as for what it really is, and that is an efficiency puzzle over those 20 turns, it was so much more exciting and so much more thrilling to play, even in the solo mode. I had this idea in my head. The solo mode is so bland and boring because you have an Automa that's not really doing a whole lot other than just attacking you directly, but it's kind of cool to see how it throws a wrench into your plans and how you can manipulate it to further your plans. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in the solo mode that I didn't give the game credit for at first. I do still want to play it more multiplayer because I feel like that is where the game is going to shine the most, especially once you get those asymmetric powers and then you're dealing with the negotiation of the hand management and trying to bluff with other people or negotiate with other people to play a certain card at a certain time to get extra benefits. It's a very unique game and one that I'm very mad at myself for not diving into more before, but that made it a perfect candidate for this 10x10 list that I'm so thrilled that I put it on here. Wormspan was the other shocker for me. I didn't think I really cared for any of the Span games. Finspan I've been excited for. I haven't played it yet, but I do still want to. Wingspan I never cared for. I'm going to be fully honest, and I'm sorry to people out there that upsets. I have never enjoyed Wingspan. I've played it I think I've only played it twice so far. I don't enjoy the dice of it all. I don't enjoy the theme. Even the tableau building in it's kind of weak, but Wormspan makes it more of an actual strategic type of game where you have set in stone, this is what's available to you, you make it work. It's not like Wingspan where you're rolling the dice to get your resources and then it's okay, well, how am I supposed to... It's the tactical versus the strategic argument, I think, and I lean more towards the strategy side of things. Every now and then I like a little bit of tacticalness in my games, but for me, Wingspan just didn't hit. It didn't do a lot for me at all. Wormspan to me is a ton of fun, though. I love the strategy to it. I have been getting a little bit wowed by that game, hence why it already has 3 plays. I wouldn't say it's one of the greatest games of all time, but I have been enjoying my plays of it so far. Knitting Circle, I'm still kind of only meh about, but I have started diving into the scenarios a bit more, and that has definitely made it more interesting, and I've started seeing more of the appeal to the game to actually have fun with it. Again, it's not ending up in any of my top lists anytime soon. It's definitely not beating Calico in anything, but it is a nice little cozy game that I think over time will, get its time to shine as just those moments where I don't really feel like doing a whole lot of brain work. I just want to grab some pieces and craft some nice cozy elements. So I do think that Knitting Circle does have a space in my collection, but it is definitely not getting towards the top of anything anytime soon. Unfortunately, Calico will definitely hold that position out of those two. Endeavor Deep Sea, I am realizing, I've only played it the one time so far this year, but I'm realizing a little bit more that it's not the game that I necessarily had it cracked up to be. It is definitely a game of mastery, though. I am also realizing all these scenarios have so many different things that you're focusing on, and I did move on to the next scenario from the last one I've done, and it does change up the game pretty dramatically, not in its core mechanisms, but in what you're trying to focus on, so it changes a lot of how you approach the game. And it really just comes down to, it is a game you would need to master to get full enjoyment out of it. I feel like I'm still pretty well in that novice level of trying to, again, maximize this efficiency puzzle. It's still a fun game. It's got a lot of cool stuff going on to it. It's pretty cut and dry. It does kind of suck that you have to go through so much setup work for it to only be 7 rounds of gameplay, that the first 3 or 4 usually go pretty quickly, and then it feels like it's over a little too quick for the amount of setup work, but it probably is one of those games that would reward you for just setting it back up and playing it again immediately, which I think is something I do need to experiment with this game. Again, I still have the expansion coming later this year, so I will have plenty of time to explore and experiment with this game. I do think that, again, as I get more experienced with it, I will definitely enjoy it a lot more. It's overall simple in mechanics weight. It's just the depth of trying to piece everything together. It's probably the same issue I had with Ostia when I first got it. There was a lot that I had to figure out. There was a whole spider web of things that were interconnected, and it took me a few plays for things to click. This one might just be taking me a little longer for all those things to click, which is totally fine. I can still see this being a game that I enjoy very, very much. So my notes on that: Night Cage is still just an okay game. It's one of the only horror games in my collection. It's a co-op game. I've only played it solo this year so far. I've played it co-op twice otherwise, I think. I did finally dive into some of the modules for the game, though, and it did make it a little bit more exciting. Overall, it feels like it's kind of, I'm at the point where it's kind of solved. I'm still going to keep playing it. Maybe I'll try to up the difficulty and make things a bit tougher so then it's not just as breezy and easy for me. We'll see if anything with that changes. So that's pretty much all the notes for my 10 by 10 plays. I kind of rambled on that a little bit, but that's fine. The last one, which isn't as much of a challenge, but just kind of a fun thing for me to keep track of, is my top 20 in review. If you haven't seen my top 20 board games of all time, feel free to check that out. If you have seen it, then you already know what those are. So the top 20 in review, what I'm doing with this one is this is just me keeping a list of the top 20 games I had in my collection for the year of 2025, what I had listed as my top 20 of all time, and this just gives me leeway to check back on those and see if those actually hold the same positions and how they shift and change throughout the year, as well as if any games end up making it on the list. So I'm just going to kind of give some notable changes. So A Place for All My Books did get kicked off the list because of those plays of Septima that I had. That did end up making it on, and that is now number 9 in my top 20. That's where it sits currently with more plays. It might even go higher. It is an excellent game. Again, I'm very mad at myself for not having explored that more sooner. But that did move way up, into the top 10 territory. Austin and Scythe are still at their spots. They haven't shifted a bit. Honeybuzz did go down by 1 and is now in 4th place instead of 3rd. Spooktacular is in 7th now instead of 4th. Several other games did stay in place. Nucleum actually made a jump from 7 up to 3. I played that solo again here recently, and it impresses me every time, the more that I play it, how much fun and how intriguing that game is overall. There's so much going on in it, several different ways to approach it. Even though I lost that game by quite a bit, it still just had me looking at it like, man, this is just such a good time. It is, I'm pretty sure, I've been over this before, but I think this is the heaviest game I have in my collection, and I just absolutely love it. I'm always exploring new things, discovering new strategies every time, even if I kind of hang out in my same corner that I'm always in. It is just so much fun and so exciting to see how things piece together, and again, really just dive into it and explore the mechanics and try to master it in some sort of way. I'm definitely not the best Nucleum player out there, and I never aim to be. I'm just looking to have fun with it, and I do want to get a little bit better each time, which doesn't always work out, but you try new things, and then that does help you with subsequent plays. So those are kind of the most notable ones. Again, A Place Where My Books got kicked off. Things and Rings made a jump from 16 to 13. That felt pretty good. That game is too much fun. To not have it higher than it was felt a little bit criminal in retrospect. So I was a little bit upset with myself that it was that far down. Endeavor did make a pretty big fall from 11 down to 18 with that one play. It is, like I said, it's still a good game. I think I really do just need to play it a lot more, though, and really get the puzzle of the game down to get a loop of how things are actually supposed to do this action, which leads into this action, which then benefits you for this action. It's struggling to find those things. I don't know what it is. I'm having trouble making the connection on the puzzle with that one and actually getting pieces to line up with each other. So, and that's pretty much the most notable parts of my top 20 in review. I don't want to ramble on this forever, and I don't really want to fully give up the goose just for the end of the year, because obviously this is going to lead into my top 20 games at the end of the year to do an update to that video. So that is all of my challenge stuff going on. I'm just going to kind of go over some of the stats here that I have on my BG Stats app just to dive into some more things, and again, talk about some maybe notable games that I played this month, or notable amount of plays. So, again, for January of 2026, we had 101 plays. I'd had technically 5 new-to-me plays this month, one of them being Expeditions, obviously a brand new game I just got. I played Ark Nova for the first time this month with my gaming group, and my parents also just got a copy themselves, so I'll probably be playing with them before too long. It's not a bad game. I don't know if I would really put it anywhere. I don't think it's ever going to end up in my collection, but if someone pulls it off the shelf and offers to play it, I'll hop in and play a game. It's just, I don't know if it's quite my style of game, even though it is pretty heavy and there's a lot of moving parts and whatnot. For me, that one didn't feel like my type of game, I guess. Maybe that's another one with more plays, I'll grow to love it, but off rip, it's not one of my favorites. Next one was Lord of the Rings, Fate of the Fellowship. I want this game so bad. I've been talking with my parents about it forever. Pretty much since it got announced, and then once gameplay started getting shown of it, I've been wanting it ever since. It looks like a solo gamer's paradise, but it's actually a co-op game that I've heard plays better at higher player counts, which is really cool actually. But having played it, I absolutely do love and adore that game, and I do plan to play it more, potentially borrowing it from my parents or at least playing it with them. My mom got it as her Christmas present, so yeah, just recently really falling in love with that IP, and then seeing this game come out, I'm like, this is perfect. This game looks amazing. Out of all the Lord of the Rings games I have seen, this is definitely the one I want the most, and great time. Great time. Next is Shackleton Base. This is a game that my dad got for Christmas, so of course I played it with him. It's a decent game. It's a nice, like, kind of deadline, medium weight game that's got some variability to it. It's a pretty nice variability. It's got really neat premises going on for it. Definitely didn't click with me right away as well. It's another one of those games I didn't pick up on right away, and there were some things I was kind of confused about as I was playing, but I did correct them over the rounds that we played. And I would say it is a good game. It is worth playing. I'm happy it's in his collection. If I ever get the chance to borrow it and play it solo, I probably will, to give it a shot. But I do think like 2 or 3 players is probably about where that game is going to shine. It feels pretty good. It is nice and solid. I did just get him SETI for his birthday, and we're all kind of looking forward to that, I think, a little bit more than Shackleton Base. But I feel that both games have room to be on the same shelf. They're different enough from each other. Well, they're quite vastly different gameplay wise, but thematically, they're both space corporations trying to race for blah 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 blah. So there's kind of like a tie between the two. But I think there is room for both to be together. Shackleton Base is going to fill a pretty nice spot in terms of a collection. It's a Euro game that has a decent amount of kind of player interaction, as well as dealing with these corporations that will give different scoring conditions and reward efficiency for maximizing all of them, which I think is quite cool. And it's not a game that I have any problems with, and I don't think if I had a copy, I don't think I would mind having it on my shelves. It wouldn't be a game that I would ever cull, I don't think. I just don't know that I would be playing it super often, but like once or twice a month seems about perfect. It's a good game to pull out and have a good time with. I do think it is still a lot of fun. So, Shackleton Base, not hating on it there. I do still enjoy it. And I would say it is for me to a degree, but it's not like one of those, again, not a top 20 game for me. The last one was the Walking Dead Surrounded, just a button shy game. It's one that my dad picked up. We had a pretty good time with it. Again, probably not one that I'll own, but I will play it when it comes up. It is, I might even suggest it a couple times, honestly. It's not bad. It's a nice kind of spatial puzzle type of thing in a way. It doesn't really do a lot thematically, of course. I mean, you've got the theme right in front of you. It's all over in the art, but it obviously doesn't really feel like it's thematic. Still a cool little game, though. I don't think I would even be mad about having a copy myself, to be honest, because it does have a solo mode, and I think it's a decent enough game to warrant having around. So those are my new to me games, just kind of some notable stuff that I did get to play this month. I finally played Arcs at 3 players, actually just yesterday with my parents. It's an interesting experience. It is definitely one of the most swingy games that I have ever played in my entire time being in this hobby, which was really cool. I did end up losing. I got second place, but that is just first loser, so. But my dad was like behind the whole game for like by quite a bit, and then the last round just absolutely stole the game from both my mom and I, and it was quite cool. It sucked a little bit, there was a little bit of frustration early on in the game, which was totally understandable. It's a very heavy conflict type of game, and I was being the evil guy that was going out and attacking everybody, so of course that never felt good, but my fleet was also the smallest for the entire game, so I don't know what you can say about that, but good time. We did play with the leaders in lore, and I don't know if I would ever like to experience Arcs at 3 players ever again. I think that's out of the 3 player counts, that is probably the worst. Two players, it's like, okay, it's just me and you, so of course if I do stuff to you, it's not going to feel as bad because there's nobody else I can target. And three players, when you get hit with something, it feels very, very personal. But in four players, I feel like there would just be so much chaos that nobody would really feel targeted or feel bad about anything. Three players, I think, is just that weird middle ground where it feels bad. It just feels bad. Again, my dad was getting punished for like the entire first part of the game and then did manage to swing it back in the end. So there is some merit to that in how the balance works, but I don't know. There is just something about three players that does make it feel like when something happens to you, you're like, well, that felt kind of personal. But, you know, it is what it is. It was still a good game, I think. As well, just last night, I got to try out Ironwood solo. That is normally a two-player game, but it does have a solo mode, and I was borrowing it from my dad to see if it was a game I would actually want in my collection. Now, I already know I love it as a two-player game, but the thing that was going to make it for me is how good the solo mode was, because if it had a good solo mode, then I would absolutely love to have it in my collection for, you know, obviously getting the two-player experience out of it, but just when I was in the mood for that type of game, I would have one available that I could still play solo, and unfortunately, I have to say I can't recommend the solo mode. As just like a quick review of it, the two-player mode is perfect. It is fantastic. It is very well fleshed out. Tons of interaction, tons of back and forth in the two-player mode. It never really feels like the game is going in one direction or the other depending on skill level, and I've pretty much always played against my dad, and we've stayed about consistent on skill level, so that's been pretty good. I think I've only won like once or twice out of our plays, but still, it felt fair, it felt balanced. Against the bot, though, it felt a little too easy. And you can increase the difficulty of it, and maybe I should have, given the fact that I've played so many two-player games, but I think with Ironwood, the solo mode is there to basically be training wheels. It's an excuse for you to try out one of the two sides in an environment where there is some pushback and there's actually interaction between the cards, and not just like you playing out a card and, you know, it's not like you playing two-handed. The AI is unknown information. You don't know exactly what they're going to do until you run through their chart and like actually flip over their cards and stuff. So there is unknown information that does add a little bit of like intensity, I guess. Well, like tension. It adds a little bit of tension. But it wasn't really enough to feel like anything crazy. Like the bot got one totem out, and that was because I let it before I had all three of my forges. So it really didn't feel all that great. It just feels like an excuse to be able to experience one side of the game and kind of learn it a little bit and know what's going on. But as an actual play experience, I don't think it's going to be worth it. I also really wanted to know how Ironwood felt solo, because I'm looking at the Scythe versus Expeditions duel game coming out later this year from Stonemaier, and I wanted to know if there was enough reason to have both in my collection, and at this point, I don't think there is, because most times that I'm going to be playing Ironwood with someone else, it's going to be my dad, so I'm just going to let it be his copy, and we'll play his whenever it comes up. So I have plenty of two-player games that don't get tabled as much as I want to. I don't think I need another one, and the solo mode is not enough reason to have this game around, unfortunately. Just as a quick review, it is fleshed out, it is still well done, and there is a good chance that I might have misoperated enough things to have ruined that experience for me, so maybe it'll warrant another attempt, but as it stands right now, it was not really worth playing. So there's that one. I think that's probably enough rambling for today. I've probably talked enough about my month of January in board gaming. I'm looking forward to seeing what February brings. I've already got some stuff planned, and of course it's starting on a Sunday, so most likely I'm going to be getting a few plays in right off the bat, which will be very exciting. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I promise I do have proper content coming. I'm waiting on my game table. I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm waiting on my board game table. And it has been a hassle. This was something that was expected to deliver last August, and it's still not here yet. I've been contacting the company like crazy, and I don't really get any real answers. I'm hoping it's not just a situation of wasted money. I know it's still on the way. The wait has just felt like forever, though. So that is the main thing that I'm waiting on before I start getting into my actual videos, but I might end up breaking down early and just starting on my reviews and playthroughs and how to plays. I might do those sooner and just find a different solution for them in the meantime and then upgrade to the better quality once I'm able to. So that is all I have for you this video round. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of your support. And again, if you don't feel like sticking around, there is no pressure whatsoever. I'm just here to have a good time, share my enthusiasm for the hobby, and engage with this community because I've found nothing but awesome people so far. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video. Peace out.